Okay, hello and welcome to the first episode of Arceus152 Reviews. As you can see, today we'll be doing the new video game craze, Overwatch, which has already been all over Twitch and even has its own pro teams already, and it's barely been out all that long at all. So, the basics of the game is that it actually plays very, very similarly to Team Fortress 2, in that it is a class-based first-person shooter game. There's a larger range of selection of heroes in this than Team Fortress 2 though, and they all have really in-depth, lovely backgrounds and character feels when you're playing them in the game. You have the kind of standard classic roles in terms of your classes, and that you have supports, tanks, ganking heroes, defensive type heroes, and all things like that. And that all works perfectly together. The pros of this game is that it is just incredibly fun. Like, the heroes are entertaining both to learn about, to learn how to play, and just to play in the first place. The gameplay is fantastic. It's fast-paced, it has all sorts of action going on, and there's lots of different game modes and tons of different maps, so it will take a fair while for you to possibly even see the same scenario twice. The abilities are pretty well balanced at the moment, I have to say. They're really highly varied. You've got all sorts of really interesting things when you start taking into account just like your standard type abilities on like left shift and E when using the standard setup, and then like your ultimates on people's Q. Obviously, once again, assuming that you haven't remapped it for yourself. But yeah, the gameplay is fantastic. As you can see here, we've got someone setting up a turret, someone else has turned into a turret, Bastion. You will learn to hate Bastion if he's on the other team. The turret plows through your tanks. Right, so it's even really good for new players. Just absolutely such a fantastic game for a new player, because the heroes are so easy to pick around, just play around with and pick up so simply. The abilities aren't so bad to get used to, even if you're new to first-person shooters or like these kind of games in general. But there is a lot of room for having them mastered. Like, there's a lot of room for getting to go through these heroes so well that you can truly master them. What's really nice is that during the team selection before any match, you have like this little suggestion thing on the side that tells you what your team components are missing, such as you're missing a tank, or you're missing a sniper, or you're missing a support hero, and whatever, which is really, really good for new players who don't completely understand or have an idea of what the game values are meant to be and how you work together as a team just yet, because they're completely new to it. The dynamics of the game are also really just fantastic, actually, in that you can quite simply learn them really quickly, master them slowly, but there's so much that you can do, like hero switching, for example. Not new. Team Fortress 2 allowed you to, on death, switch heroes as well. You can change from like pyro to sniper or to scout and whatever, but there wasn't quite as much range. And they didn't have just natural counters to each other quite as much as this game does, because there's so much more variety. The variety in Overwatch is just exquisite. You can change from one hero to another just because it's exactly what your team needs, or alternatively, if for example you were playing a hero and decided you weren't really having much impact. Your hero wasn't really contributing to the team as much as you would have liked. Then it's simple. You either run back to base, or you wait for yourself to die, because if you're not contributing all that well, you're probably getting ganked or killed an awful lot. You switch to something else. You think, well, what are we missing? What do we need? And you switch and go to that instead. It's amazing. The switching produces this really interesting back and forth in the game, where as people decide they're not doing well or they are doing well, people will switch or not switch, and the kind of flow of the game ebbs and flows. Which is me using the word flow twice, but hey, that's just it. It is just like watching the ocean. You can see things coming and decide I need to switch now, or you might get caught completely off guard by someone suddenly switching to a Widowmaker and sniping all of your team away. But the dynamics do make it really interesting. Additionally, unlike an awful lot of other games, the community thus far has been truly astonishingly nice, which is really rare for me to find in a typical large-scale multiplayer game these days. But yeah, you can have people that actually want to work with each other, and even when things don't go perfectly, it goes well enough that you're not too concerned. Or even if it goes badly, you're still kind of working together. You're not feeling like enemies on your own team. You're not trying to fight people within. And flaming wars constantly going on. which is just extraordinarily nice. As much as this is only so far, I've only had the game for approximately 4 days at this point. But what's interesting is that even the cons I can think about it, such as it being instantly a full price game at 30 quid, which is quite a hefty chunk, or if you want to go more for the Origins edition as well, it's even higher than that. But that is a little unusual when this type of game is ordinarily kind of a free-to-play type setting. But it totally makes up for it in the fact that there's just so much replayability to this game. You can just go back over and over and over again and see different maps and play different heroes and play with different people and have different experiences every single time, which is just really nice to see. The only other possible downside, which is pretty much based on your own personal opinion as well, is like how much you love to play a first-person shooter class-based game. Because if it's the kind of thing you do all the time, Overwatch won't feel too new to you. It'll still feel quite standard. The only difference might be that you have these really interesting ultimate abilities, which is not too common in some others, and just really make massive changes to the play of the game and the style of your hero. But honestly, I normally am an absolute hater of first-person shooters. I'm absolutely abysmal at them, which is typically why I play support in games like this, because then it's not my responsibility to kill everyone. But at the moment, this is just it. Like, I did so well that I think by the end of this game I had something like a 15 hero kill streak, which is insane, just even for a support hero, which also goes to show how powerful your support heroes can be when played well in the right team. Just on a standard easy support hero, it doesn't make any sense, except that you can be that powerful if you're working well together, which is just incredible. You have this interesting system of like leveling up as well with experience at the end of games, and you get like a medals and you get to vote for players on your team or the enemy team that you think deserved recommendation or commendation for how well they played. And as you see there, I leveled up to level 6, which every single time you level up gains you something called the loot box, which we're just going to go and investigate now. Now, the loot boxes are simply cosmetic only. They don't confer any benefits that make your team more powerful or your hero more powerful, or anything that you can buy with real money to have a pay-to-win type scenario. You can buy loot boxes yourself with real money if you really want, but they don't confer any benefit that gives your team a specific advantage because you paid real cash. So it's not a pay-to-win game, and it's not a pay-to-win system, which is ideal, because no one loves pay-to-win. Because then all those little people with mummy or daddy's credit card just spend away, and suddenly they have all the things they need to make themselves ridiculously good. But no, this is not going to be like that, and that's ideal. So, to review, I am actually an enormous fan of Overwatch. I can't commend it enough. It's just incredible. For a first-person shooter game, something that I typically have no love for, I can't get enough of it. I can't stop playing. Just because it is just so entertaining, and the dynamics in it are so fun to play with and mess around with and trying to master. I'm gonna be terrible for ages, as I always am, for something new, especially something first-person shooter, but it works, and it's keeping me to come back for more. Whether that's new and whether that lasts, we'll see, but hey, I am currently all on board for it. Well, so that's pretty much it from me. But if there's anything specific you liked or didn't like, if there's any recommendations you have for the channel or my content, then please make sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment, anything. It all helps the channel. I'm probably going to go back to Overwatch again, maybe do something like a hero-specific content, or maybe like a hero-specific guide, just because there's going to be some that I know I'm going to be okay at and others that I'm going to be terrible at, and those will probably be quite fun to watch. But yeah, until then, thanks. See ya.